Hi everybody, this is Alan here from Razzle. It's been a long time. Today I'm going to be reviewing Magic Mike XXL, the movie that stars Channing Tatum, Joe Manganiello, Matt Bomer, and a bunch of other people. Let's get this going. Well, let's get this right out of the way. I knew from the moment I was going into this movie that I was not the target demographic. Immediately I was like, okay, I'm going to go into this movie and try to be unbiased on the things, the preconceived notions that I had. Very hard to do. And this is because of the nature of the movie is clearly, it's about male stripping, something that's not something that I've ever been really interested in or anything like that. So I was looking at it and trying to determine how I can review this, and I think my best way to look at it is to look at it in terms of my demographic. So let's just start there. Okay, so I didn't see the first Magic Mike film, so I clearly missed a couple plot points, but it was pretty easy to figure out. Channing Tatum in the first movie was a stripper, retired from being a stripper. The rest of the crew kind of moved on and continued to be strippers, and that's about it. In this movie, Channing Tatum comes back to being a stripper, and they try to do this one big last show, assuming that they don't immediately get a sequel because of the amount of money this movie is making. Overall, the plot for this movie is very dull. Not a lot of substance to this movie. It's kind of more, like, you can tell that this movie was not made for plot, and that's kind of the point of the movie. The point of the movie is that you can go and you can watch some guys that are really good looking dancing around in Speedos and stuff. So the plot was kind of boring. The comedy was really kind of non-existent too. Like, it was sort of funny at some points. There were some lines where I was actually kind of laughed, but for the most part, I'm not sure if this was a comedy per se or more just a movie that was meant to show people stripping. So, I mean, that's what it is. That's the type of movie it is. It doesn't have a lot of plot and it shows a lot of stripping. And overall, that's the greatest sin this movie commits. The movie is completely boring in plot points, and then it's just finding ways to lead itself to its dancing scenes, which is really good if you're there wanting to see the dancing scenes. But if you're like me, who's someone who just had to go to review it, then you're going to look at it and say that this has got no substance. The only thing that this movie has is these dancing scenes. I would equate this to a bad action movie. An action movie that the action is very, very strong and you don't care about the plot. I found myself sitting in the theater during a regular action movie and I would go, oh, I just can't wait for stuff to blow up. The only problem with this movie is you sit in the theater watching the stupid dialogue just progress forward and you're like, I can't wait for the extension is the male stripping scenes. I don't care about that, so I'm just sitting there waiting for the end of the movie. So it's really kind of a disappointment that there was no substance to bridge the gap for people that don't care as much about seeing guys half naked. If we want to talk about the movie positively, we can say that this movie did exactly what it was supposed to be. Like, it wasn't anything unexpected. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was a movie with very low substance that had guys that looked good, and they all looked good. They were good-looking guys. They danced around, and they looked strong, and that was kind of the extension of the movie. That is the entire point for this movie. That's why this movie exists. I think, in general, it made for a really lame movie for me, because I don't care about that, but hey, if that's your forte, if this movie, instead of male stripping, had a lot of stuff, like, blowing up, I'd probably go, yeah, that was probably pretty cool. But this movie doesn't have that, because there's nothing to bridge the gap for me. I don't care about seeing Channing Tatum, like, ripping his shorts off and he's in a Speedo. Like, that's nothing to me. To some people, that's great. That's a really cool thing. To me, it has no artistic value in any way. It also doesn't have any fun value, so I watched it. There are a couple cameos that are in this that are pretty cool, or at least one. That are pretty interesting, and I think, well, that's cool, but then after that, it's like, okay, I'm still watching guys in Speedos dancing around. It's something that doesn't interest me. So, I mean, realistically, the movie could be good for people that are wanting to view it for what it is, or it can be really bad for somebody who just goes in thinking, hey, maybe this movie will bridge the gap. It will not bridge the gap. Overall, Magic Mike XXL is a very disappointing time at the theaters. Very bland, and really only exists for certain demographics that would be interested in that. It doesn't translate. So I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. And that may seem harsh, but I literally did not want to watch the rest of the movie like midway through. And that's very hard to do because I really enjoy film as a thing, as a visual media. I enjoy it a lot. And it doesn't translate at all. Overall, I would say that if you are really interested in just male stripping as a career choice or something, or really just interested in male stripping just to watch, or really think that these guys are attractive and you want to watch them, this movie might be a 6 out of 10 to you. That's what I would rate it if it was an action movie and there was action instead, so that's where I'll go. So to you, it might be entertaining. To me, it's just garbage. Overall, I couldn't stand it. That's gonna be it. That's all for this Razzle review. I'm gonna try to post a few more, and get a couple more out. We just did an Ant-Man review, which was really good, and I think that there might be a spoiler review coming out soon too, so be on the lookout for that. My name is Alan, I'm here for Razzle, and you have a fantastic evening.